Is this just fantasy? Sure, why not? And it's also Wake the Devil. It's going to be issue 4 this time. Good old Hellboy and good old Mike Mignola telling us a story. So we're just gonna get into it, but yeah, just we're back with my library edition, which is this much bigger than a standard comic or trade paperback. So, yeah, let's get into it because we got some really cool mythology and lore for the Hellboy universe in this one. So let's just pop it open. So we are chapter 4, last issue. Hellboy went through a bunch of trouble fighting harpies and a vampire and all this shit, and he ended up just, finding a bunch of old bombs and shit and setting a timer to it. He's going to blow the whole castle. But not before he's going to have to confront some facts about his destiny, which we all know that Hellboy does not give a shit about his destiny if he can help it. So we have chapter 4 here. An old spearhead as our little frontispiece here. At first I was thinking, maybe it's supposed to be like the Spear of Longinus, which is like, it's the spear that pierced Christ's side or whatever, but that's usually got this kind of like golden casing on the tip, and this he doesn't have a denotation of that here, so it could just be a spear, but just putting it out there. And so here we have our cover with some weird kind of octopoidal headed serpents and possibly a snake spine, which is one of the coolest things in nature. But yeah, we're back in Romania in the castle, and Hellboy's hearing his name called, and he's thinking he's hearing the vampire, and we get this cool ominous glow from the floor. I mean, and just like what a bold use of black here. This is like in shadow. It reads properly. He has a few little denotations here to show like the edge of the wall, so it doesn't just we don't just drift off here. We know, and then also the way he renders these lines is like, all right, I get that we're like this is like a floor here, and there's something glowing underneath it, and it's just it is definitely a person who is confident in their artistic choices. It's that draws like this, and I don't know. It's such an enjoyable drawing, and I just love like how simplified Hellboy gets here, and it's just I'm really fixated on this panel. I mean, not that I couldn't be on every panel, but boy, it's just such great design choices. It just looks like a nice drawing, or a fun drawing even to do. And here we got the emergence of an important character in Hellboy lore, which is Hecate. Hecate, was a witch goddess from Greek mythology, but like this is a figure who she has many titles, many names, many forms, but she's our gateway into some of the deep lore behind who Hellboy is and who he's going to be and all that, and specifically even right here in this panel. We get his like, I don't know, demon name, I guess, or his real name, Rama, which is, I mean, as far as like fictional names, like, mythological names go, it's really cool. Like, I don't know how Mignola came up with that, but it is a very cool sounding, like name. and but I also love that he's just also Hellboy. And yeah, what a cool design for Hecate here as this like, what we'll see is a serpentine woman, and I just love the design of this panel. We have him, here in the foreground, the bright red, but everything else kind of has a greenish hue, including the the mist around her, this crackle, the Greek god there behind her, and then we have like a wolf and some owls. It's all like great classical imagery, and I love just the little hint of like scales on her face, that denote like that there's something scaly and reptilian about her, and then these like little sharp teeth in there. And yeah, the green and the red really are great contrast. Here's her other form here again, which I think I pointed out in the first issue of Seed of Destruction. Is this like the what I think is called the Black Goddess, or a figure called the Black Goddess. I think she has a different name, but that figures much later in some BPRD stories, and is basically another form for Hecate, or maybe her original form. But yeah, just a love, and it's like, so Mignola has for a long time had this kind of it's sort of a collage mentality or method for doing his covers, where he usually has like strong central figures, and then kind of just collaged in design elements in the background that kind of fill in the remaining elements of the story, as well as just adding to the overall like quality of the design. Case in point here is like issue 2. So we have strong central figure, maybe a sub central figure, and then these little design elements in the back, and sometimes there's usually like a shock of color going through, like that's just kind of a amorphous abstracted shape, and we're getting that here in the comic, here in this panel, and that's just something, I don't know, I think that's really cool, and it's also just great visual storytelling. And again, kind of like I said last time, he's doing things that you can really only do effectively in a comic. You could do something like this maybe in a film, but I feel like results vary, and it may not work for everyone. But for something like this, which it makes me think of like kind of Gil Kane and the faces he would put in a panel when somebody's like thinking about something, or being assaulted psychically by something, or something, but yeah, just all of it is fits in thematically. I mean, you have these skulls and demonic faces and such, and she's basically trying to convince him to just accept his role and who he is, that he's and what he is. But she's also she's just trying to, she's basically like, you and I are destined to be together, and he's not taking it well. One of the things I also want to just really quickly point out is, look at these scales right here. It's so fine. It's just, but yet I get it that it's scaly, and I feel like because the detail is so ratcheted back, and it's more about forms and shapes, when you throw in little tick marks like that, little things like on this arm, like, it counts for a lot, because there isn't much more of that. We have little hairs on Hellboy, on his head and arms and stuff like that, and I think that the reason it works so well is because of the fact that everything else is reduced to shapes and forms, that like when you put these little details in, it counts for more. But he's just letting her have it, he's just not. He's not into her. Sorry, Hecate, but like you're just not his type. You know, and yeah, she starts getting a little more Medusa-y, and yeah, he's just yeah, pounding her. Look at this great punch. This awesome punch. With like, you know, again, like I love that breaking of the panel with the onomatopoeias there. You know, and all these little flecks, you know, it's like, is that hair? Is it, you know, no, it's just, you know, adding emphasis to contact. And it just really works. You know, and then yeah, here she is kind of spiraling into some of her magic nonsense. And I just also love, yeah, like the little scraggly hairs he throws in there, and that's something that I want to do more of. Is yeah, breaking up some of these forms with these little things. She's getting Medusa-y here, and I like how she's bleeding kind of green blood here. Really great articulation of these scales on the snakes. I feel like without those scales, it would have been needing something. And so yeah, he's putting in just the right amount of detail to suit the style that he draws in. But that's because he knows what he's doing. You know, we got, you know, looks like either a suit of armor or something like that up there. Love little details like that. And yeah, here he is. This is where we get our spears. He's stabbing her clean through. And yeah, what a cool scene. He's fighting with this giant snake woman. And yeah, what a great panel. Here's a suit of armor, the weapons, and yeah, like just the snake spiraling out. And I just also love that you put the bricks in here, but you keep this negative space because we want to isolate these figures, because this is the focal point. You know, this is what we want to pay attention to. We don't want to distract with these figures, these simplified forms, by just throwing a bunch of bricks back there. It's just not. It would distract, you know. And yeah, that's a level of that's an intelligent level of restraint. And you know, I only hope that I can someday show that kind of, you know, intelligent level of restraint. You know, we all should as artists. And he was my man. He's back, very briefly, but he's back. Yeah, and then I love that this transition we break out of the wall. But yeah, she's getting burned up because she's got kind of like vampiric type tendencies here, and she's burning up in the sun. And I just love the flaking off of the skin here, and this big green bloody, you know, mess. Yeah, yeah, and then yeah, and her scream going clear across from behind her, and yet, yeah, and then breaking the panel. And also how pale this blue is. Look at that. It's just great. Yeah, and here she is breaking apart, bones and all, snakes peeling off of her. Jeez, goddamn son of a, you know, and he's getting all wrapped up in these weird tentacly things, because everything's kind of tentacly in the Hellboy universe. And then yeah, that bomb finally blows up. Boom. And what a excellently articulated explosion here. You know, it's got, you know, the roundness, you know, but it's also got that swirling darkness in it. You know, and then, you know, the stray bricks flying apart. Yeah, well colored too. I want to draw explosions like that. Yeah, and so we're back at home base, or with the BPRD, and they're like, "What the fuck just happened? They just blow up the whole castle?" You know, and they're all kind of like a little like nobody's clear on what's happening with everybody on you know, on the ground. Yeah, and yeah, here we have this fucked up scene, which I've never forgotten. And yeah, spirit ghost or force ghost Rasputin gets Ilsa to hop into this Iron Maiden, which this Iron Maiden is like also kind of wrapped into Hecate's magic, and yeah. Yeah, bringing in Elizabeth Bathory into this, which is, I feel like, good for, telling a vampire story. Elizabeth Bathory was partly inspirational for some of Dracula, I think. She was the Blood Countess who would, basically take young girls from the peasantry and kill them and bathe in their blood so that she could stay young forever. Cool people in history. That shit was real. We got Baba Yaga again. I love this little fairy dude. I'm sure I know his name. I just can't think of her. But yeah, here we have Elsa, sacrificing herself for Rasputin, putting herself in this Iron Maiden. And yeah, all this blood coming out of her. It's again, real horror going on here. Real horror going on. Yeah, and I just love, the mysticness of the fairy folk. Things disappearing with the blood remaining. I love that. And here we have, townspeople unburying Hellboy here. Love these old men here. They're looking great. There's like the little branches back there. Just add a whole lot. And then we go back to Norway and we have, Von Klimt reanimated. He's just a fucking head. And, infighting with our Nazis, which you love to see. Just kind of, just great. But, and here we get a setup to a really cool scene. I also love this Iron Maiden is just going to be following Rasputin here. Just lurking around, and here he is tied up at this crossroads, and he's going to have to face down what's coming. And Rasputin really thinks that he's got Hellboy and that it's all gonna be over here, and what the fuck does he know? So anyway, that was issue 4 of Wake the Devil, and what's exciting times, cool stuff throughout, and just can't get enough of this. Especially this era of Hellboy. It's just so exciting, and everything was new. We were discovering it all together, and you're reading it right now, aren't you? Aren't you moving in on reading this? Come on, what are you waiting for? It is absolutely worth your time, and it is even if you're not into comics, this is like perfect gateway stuff, because this is like exemplary comics. So that was issue 4. We're gonna wrap up Wake the Devil next time with issue 5. I can't wait. In fact, I won't wait. I'll just do it right now, but you'll have to wait. But while you wait, you know what you can do? You can read some of my comics. Like, for instance, Side Questers, which is a fantasy comic that I have. This is issue 1. This is a brand new cover I have got. And also, there is a collected volume, which is the first 8 issues. It's the first complete story arc. And then there's also my Haxan book, which is basically stories of witches and wizards that takes place in the side questers universe. And then if you're into something a little bit more traditional comic book stuff, I have 3-Panel Origin, which is my weekly webcomic about embarrassing superhero origins, and where I create a character and tell their origin in 3 panels. It's kind of like The Tick or something like that, and I also have a little book of stories related to that. But all of this is available on my website for purchase, so go ahead and check that out there. And yeah, enjoy that, and also enjoy Hellboy, and I'll see you next time.